This is gonna sound really bad. I'm gonna be very real with you guys. I get pissed when my kids get something wrong. We are going to jump into the nitty-gritty details of the worst parts of homeschooling. And surprise, it's not curriculum. We are going to talk about the part of homeschooling that you don't typically see people talk about on social media. You see the good stuff. Everybody wants to post their, beautiful day in the life, everything runs smoothly videos, but that's not what this video is for. We are going to jump into the nitty-gritty details of the worst parts of homeschooling. Forgive my chicken scratch here, but I have been compiling a list over the last several weeks of things that I'm personally struggling with. And when I look back on our homeschool journey over the last several years, these things are things that I've continued to struggle with, and that when you look big picture, I would probably consider to be the hardest part of homeschooling. And surprise, it's not curriculum. Now, if you've been following me for a while, you know that one thing I don't do is sugarcoat. I'm gonna be very real and raw with you guys. I am here to encourage. If you want to do this, you can do this. If there's a will, there's a way. I will give you all the tips and tricks that I have in my toolbox. But the reality is, homeschooling is hard. This is not a walk in the park. This is the job that never ends, truly never ends, sun up to sundown. The hardest part of homeschooling that nobody warned you about is you. It's us. It's the emotional regulation, the constant decision-making, the mental load that it takes to homeschool your kids. Those are the parts that we're gonna talk about today. So starting off strong with what probably is the part that I struggle with the most is the emotional regulation that is required when you homeschool your kids. So for me, one of the things that I struggle with is getting overstimulated or feeling like that fight or flight panicky feeling. And I've noticed that I really start feeling this way when things are not going according to schedule. And what's so crazy is like that happens all the time when you homeschool. Nothing is ever gonna go exactly how you plan. But especially when maybe we were supposed to start math at 10 and I'm looking at the clock and it's like 10:45, and then I start thinking about, oh my gosh, now I gotta get lunch ready and we haven't even started math. And like thinking about the future instead of just being in the present moment is usually when I start to lose my cool. And that emotional regulation piece, because we are both mom and teacher and therapist and all the things, we can't just start flying off the handle. Right now I have done that. Of course, I frequently do that, to be honest with you. I'm trying to get better. But the emotional regulation piece, like we can't expect our kids to be able to stay calm and think through their problems, problem solve, if we're not doing it ourselves. Also, when you homeschool, because you're both mom and teacher, you're going to notice that your kids are very unfocused. Like at least for my kids, like I think because they're balancing between like, okay, you're mom, but you're also teacher. Are we being serious right now? Can I be silly? It's like that weird gray area. When I'm noticing that maybe they've finished like one problem in the last 20 minutes, that's when I start to feel myself getting worked up. And I'm like, hey, focus, focus. The amount of times that I like tap on their book, hey, focus, focus. I'll start off pretty chill, but then I notice my tone changes. Sometimes I just sound straight up mean. And that is one thing that I really have to work on, is like, I need to stop, I need to breathe, walk away, go in the other room, whatever, come back and regroup. Also reminding myself that they're kids. Like my 8-year-old has only been walking this earth for 8 years. Even though she's the oldest, I tend to fall into that habit of like, you're the oldest, you should know better, you're the role model, like I expect more from you. She's only been on this earth for 8 years. My 5-year-old, 5 years. My 3-year-old, 3 years she's been on this earth. And sometimes we set those expectations high. We become emotionally unregulated. We expect them to regulate themselves. They're too young for that. The honest truth is an 8-year-old does not have the mental capacity to be able to emotionally regulate themselves all the time. So we have to be able to do that. I just have to add in something here because I was getting ready to move on to number 2 and I was reflecting on this emotional regulation piece, and this is gonna sound really bad. I'm gonna be very real with you guys. I get pissed when my kids get something wrong that I know they know, or something that we have been working on for so long, that we've been drilling, and they're getting wrong, especially in math. Like, okay, subtraction with regrouping, for example. Like if the bottom number is bigger than the top number, hopefully they realize they need to regroup in that moment. We have drilled that over and over and over. I know that's controversial, by the way. People teach borrowing and regrouping differently. For us, we do it the old school way. So when I'm grading their work and I see that they didn't regroup when they were supposed to, I can get really nasty. And that is part of that emotional regulation piece where I'm almost taking the teacher homeschooling thing like personally. Like I feel like it's a personal attack on me. I've taught you this. I spent my time and effort drilling this into your head. Why are you not getting it right? And what's interesting is when I was a teacher, I didn't feel that same way. Like, of course I want my students to succeed, and it was annoying if they got something wrong that I knew they knew. But when it's your own kids, that is one of those emotional regulation pieces that I really, really need to work on. Okay, number two thing that we struggle with that I think is one of the hardest parts of homeschooling is that you are wearing so many hats. You are both teacher, authority figure as the teacher, but you're also mom, the nurturer. And trying to juggle those two roles at the same time can make you crazy. You're the teacher, you're the parent, you're the comfort, you're the boundary. You're the authority figure, you're the principal, you're all the things, you're the therapist, the social worker. You wear so many hats. Going back to the emotional regulation piece, when I feel myself getting worked up, I have to take a step back and remind myself that I am their safety net. I am their comfort area, their comfort zone, and they're gonna manipulate that a little bit. They might play on my emotions on purpose, knowing that that motherly nurturing side is going to come out. Almost like playing a bit of a victim role, which sounds horrible to say because they're kids, but it's true. Kids know how to play the system. So it's a balancing act for me as mom to know, like, are you in need of emotional support in this moment, or are you kind of stalling because you don't feel like doing your math right now? Wanting to keep those expectations high academically, but also wanting to nurture their creativity and help them accept getting things wrong and not being perfectionists. That's another thing that we've struggled with. But because we're both mom and teacher, it's very tricky to know which hat you're putting on and when. Now, the cool thing is, after you've been doing this for a while, what I'm realizing is that eventually it doesn't feel like you're just taking off hats and putting them back on. It almost feels like you're just you, and you're just doing it with your kids, and you can easily be that nurturer at the same time you're being the teacher, and be the therapist and the social worker at the same time you're being an authority figure. And that's really what we're aiming for, is like that natural just gelling of all of the hats at once, because homeschooling should just be life. It should just be living. It shouldn't be like public school at home, which is something that I've gone through myself. And being able to just naturally fall into your roles as they come throughout the day, that is the goal. So I promise it does get better, but that is something that you're gonna struggle with, that I struggle with, that we've all struggled with. Okay, number 3 thing that I personally struggle with, those of you that have been following me for a while know that I love a good schedule and I like adhering to my schedule. However, there comes a time when we have to decide to push or pause. Push versus pause, meaning, are we in a moment during the lesson where I should be pushing my child to finish, or pushing my child to complete an activity or a problem or whatever it might be? Or are we genuinely in a moment where we just need to pause, go take a break? Because the problem is, if you pause too much, like, okay, I feel little Johnny getting worked up a little bit here. I think we need to go outside and run some laps or jump rope or whatever. Again, your kid's gonna pick up on that, and they are going to use that to their advantage a little bit. So you got to be careful about not pushing ever. Like, we definitely want to push them. When you know they can do something, we can't just take a break every time they struggle with something, right? That is a good strategy, to break when they're really struggling with something. But if you continue to do that and you don't teach them to push through, then you're going to have some bigger problems on your hands. So again, because you are mom and principal and you're all the things, you have to make that decision, right? Am I going to push them right here? Or are we going to pause, take a break, regroup, maybe completely stop the lesson and finish it the next day? Now, I reserve those for days where we're really struggling. Maybe we didn't get enough sleep last night. We're just off. Maybe we're coming off of being sick, things like that. Rarely will I just completely stop an entire lesson to do it the next day. I do not like doing that. But there are times where, okay, we need to take a break, go outside, get some fresh air, come back, and then we'll try again. We do that. Again, though, it's very tricky to know, okay, do I push them right here? I'm not trying to send them into a complete spiral, but I also want them to know that we're gonna finish this. They can do this. Build that confidence, build that self-esteem. If we're just constantly telling them, take a break, you don't have to do this, oh, we'll do it tomorrow, we'll do it next week, are you really teaching them to push through their problems? Oh, side note on that too. If something is a struggle so continuously day after day, I would look at the the difficulty level of whatever program you're using. So if you've got a second grader and they're really, bawling their eyes out every day trying to write their spelling words or whatever, maybe you need to go back and like look at that level. Do we need to go back to first grade spelling? Do we need to fill in some gaps somewhere? That happens a lot. So just be on the lookout for that because that does happen as well, where they genuinely are struggling and you're having to pause so much that eventually you're gonna realize maybe this isn't the right level for them. Number 4, hardest part about homeschooling is the mental load that we take on. This is more of a mental load than you're ever going to find in a full-time corporate level job. And I know that is controversial and people are gonna argue with me on that, but it's true because these are your babies. We are not just teaching kids, right? We are teaching our children. We are the ones building them up, getting them ready for the real world. So we're not just dealing with the mental load of, are they learning enough? Do they know enough math? Are they going to get into college? We're facing like the fact that these are our babies that we grew, that we birthed, that we've, taught since day one. And are we preparing them well enough for the real world? Are they going to be able to problem solve and critical think and be able to emotionally handle things that happen out in the real world? And I feel like that mental load, like you lay down in bed at night and you think like, did I do enough today? Was I too hard on them? Was I not hard enough? Are we on grade level? Did we do enough today? Should I add more to the schedule? Should I take some out of the schedule? Do they need more socialization? Are they getting enough opportunities for growth? Like all the things that we lay down in bed and think of at night, or even in the moment, like while I'm teaching my kids, while I'm yelling at my kid about math, I'm literally thinking, am I messing her up right now? Like, am I emotionally screwing her up by yelling at her about this math problem right now? Like you're having this mental battle all the time. I am so distracted by all the things with homeschooling and staying at home with my kids that I have very little time for like the BS, right? Like I used to spend so much time scrolling on my phone, obsessing over like health things and OCD. Like I have issues with that, like anxiety things. But because I am so consumed with this beautiful homeschooling life that I have, it's taking up all my mental capacity. I don't have time for that kind of stuff, right? For the drama and for all the little things. So it is a good thing and a bad thing, but the mental load, it's a lot. It's a lot. And you just have to wake up the next day. It's a fresh day, start fresh. And talking to veteran homeschooling families is so helpful. Feeling like you're not doing enough. Am I screwing my kid up? Am I preparing them well enough? And then you talk to a veteran homeschooling family who has kids that, went through college or run successful businesses now or whatever, and it will just make you feel so at ease. The 5th and final hardest part about homeschooling that I am happy to admit really doesn't bother me anymore, but I had to include it in here because this is especially a big one for new homeschooling families, and it is the outside noise. So many people are going to have opinions about your decision to homeschool, and the craziest thing is that a lot of times it's going to be the people closest to you, the people that you thought were going to support you in this decision. I'm talking your parents, your sibling, your best friends, coworkers, even your spouse. Thank God my husband, I think because I was a teacher, he was a little more at ease, which you do not need to be a teacher to homeschool your kids. But I think that kind of set my husband's mind at ease and our family's mind at ease a little bit too. But to not have a spouse that supports your decision to homeschool, especially if you're separated, like if you share custody, I cannot imagine the stress that would put on me to know that like dad doesn't want me to homeschool, or stepmom, or whoever it might be. People out in public, like you're gonna feel like you constantly have to explain yourself, right? What school do your kids go to? Oh, we homeschool. Oh, that's cool. And then you almost feel this like need to be like, oh, but my kids are in jujitsu and they do gymnastics, and like you feel like you have to make up for the fact that you homeschool and to tell them all the ways that your kids are socialized. I've gotten out of that. It is something that I think eventually you just stop caring about, and the proof is in the pudding. And this is the best way to shut people up about your decision to homeschool, and that is let the dust settle, right? Let them say whatever they want. Don't even try to defend it at first. And then when you do your homeschool testing, or what, maybe you don't do homeschool testing, maybe your kid just like did a little activity that day, post a picture on your Facebook. send it to your family members. Show your husband, oh my gosh, look at little Johnny just wrote his first, middle, and last name with perfect handwriting, or whatever it might be. Maybe it's not academic, just bringing your kids out to the store or to a restaurant. I just took my kids to a restaurant today. They all order, my 3-year-old, she orders her own meal to the waitress. They're well-spoken, they're well-mannered. Those are the proofs in the pudding that I'm talking about. Oh, your children are so well-behaved. Actually, we homeschool too, or I don't know, however you would fit that in. Like, let them compliment and see how great your children are, and then you can slide in the little homeschooling. Let your children's light shine. Let people see that light, and then when they find out you homeschool, it makes them take a step back. It's like, that's interesting. Jess's kids are really well behaved. They have all these cool academic things that they're doing all the time. They're socially social, right? That's always the argument. Oh, and she homeschools, right? Eventually people are gonna put the pieces together, but don't feel like you need to explain yourself. It is a very tricky part when you first start out. You're gonna feel very self-conscious, maybe. I mean, some people don't, but if you've got everyone around you telling you how crazy you are, your kids are gonna be antisocial, they're not gonna get into college, that's what really weighs heavy, especially on new homeschooling mamas, and it infuriates me. But the good news is homeschooling has grown so much and it's becoming so much more acceptable to the outside world that I don't think we're gonna have as much backlash as you did like early homeschooling families that were homeschooling in like the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Like, I can't even imagine the backlash that they faced. But nowadays we have it a lot easier. So keep that in mind. Don't let it get you down. Now, I told you at the beginning of this that curriculum is not the hardest part, and I genuinely believe that. Like, yes, it can feel overwhelming at first when you're looking for a curriculum and you feel like it's the hardest part, but you know what? You try different things, you see what works. There's free options out there, there's online options, there's just options. So while it can feel overwhelming at first, I would not consider that to be one of the hardest things. Again, the hardest parts about homeschooling have more to do with you. You as the parent, you as the mom or the dad or whoever. So the curriculum piece, don't let that freak you out. Yes, it can be a little tricky, but don't feel like that's gonna be what prevents you from homeschooling. Now, I would love to hear in the comments, let me know in the comments what you struggle with. Is it one of the 5 that I talked about today? Do you have your own struggles, maybe struggles that you're fearing for the future if you haven't started homeschooling? Let me know in the comments. Just remember that your hard days are gonna be hard, but the good days are going to outweigh those bad days tenfold, I promise you. There was something so special about having a beautifully successful, flowing homeschool day. They do come, I promise they come, where everything maybe doesn't go exactly according to schedule, but even like the questions your kids ask, right? Maybe you had a day where your kids just asked really, really thought-provoking questions. That right there is a win, right? That is a reward in itself. Those are the days to look forward to. You're gonna have your hard days, you're gonna have your good days, but again, the good days will outweigh the bad. See you guys next time.